of you. Am I audible? Hello. Yes. Very good morning to all of you. Myself, Parth Sejpal. Today, we have Mr. Aman Shrotriya. Sir is advocate and managing director of Shrotriya LLP. Right. So, sir, today, sir will be discussing about how to start up legal and ethical aspects. Currently, we see the scenario that there are many startups currently working out, and they are coming into market. But how they need to tackle the legal way, how they need to prepare the documentations and all the required legal aspects to become a startup, right? We welcome you, sir, on behalf of Saurashtra University and SU Startup and Entrepreneurship Council, and also the Department of Law of Saurashtra University. Today, we have the audience of varied branches and fields. The students are of all the branches and all over from the Rajkot or Saurashtra region. We welcome you, sir, on behalf of Saurashtra University. Aman, sir.
Thank you so much, Mr. Basit. Thank you for having me on this webinar. So, as you discussed, like many startups are coming, many new like students, new entrepreneurs are venturing into startup system, startup ecosystems. So it is quite mandatory to understand the legal aspects of how these startups are governed and how the compliance are being done. Right. I believe many of the audience today are students from different colleges and universities. So instead of going into deep technical legal aspects, I'll be sharing the content in a very layman language. I believe everyone understands English and Hindi, so I'll keep the medium of language English and Hindi. Okay, so first part is key. When anyone is thinking of starting a new venture, so what are the legal aspects or ethical aspects, right? See, every society, every country, and every business ecosystem is run and governed by a legal machinery. There are laws which governs your business transactions. There are laws which governs your relationship with different stakeholders. So हमें ये ध्यान में रखना जरूरी है कि उन सबके साथ जो हमारे रिलेशंस हैं, that should be in compliance with the law, right? Okay, so let's start with कि startup होता क्या है and why is it different from a normal business? Actually definition भी समझना जरूरी है startup की, कि mostly लोग ये समझते हैं कि हम कोई नया business करने जा रहे हैं, that is a startup. No, that is not a startup. A startup is something where you are innovating something, where you are bringing in new processes, new products, new services, or you are introducing the existing products and services in the market in a different manner, which somewhere solves the bigger problem, right? Now, startups के काफी सारे stages होते हैं. Startup is not something कि मैंने कोई product बनाया, कोई service market में introduce करी and I'm going directly to the market and introducing the services and products. There are multiple stages. let's start with the ideation. So ideation is something कि अगर मैं मार्केट में कुछ लेके आ रहा हूँ, मेरा आइडिया, मुझे आइडिया वैलिडेट करवाना जरूरी है पहले. वैलिडेशन, आइडिएशन बहुत जरूरी है कि वो whether that is practically feasible or not. Now वो अगर possible है, अगर if that is allowed, for example, I'm doing something in a pharmaceutical sector, right? So there are certain drugs which are being prohibited by the government. So I need to check कि मैं जो करने जा रहा हूँ whether that is being allowed or not. If that is allowed, तो मुझे क्या क्या compliances करने होंगे, क्या क्या legal aspects है जिनको ध्यान में रख के मुझे अपना business start करना होगा. Then they start the initiation is there, then raising funds for the business, then incubators and accelerators are there to help you in not only in funding but also helping you in the growth trajectory of your business. Okay, so startup के लिए we must appreciate the efforts of the government. Government is doing wonderful job in promotion of startups in India. So startup registration, it's one of the way to get recognized that you are a valid startup, and you need to be supported by all the stakeholders present in the startup ecosystem, right? So process for startup registration, the process is very simple. You need to have your company incorporated. Once it is incorporated, you need to get registered with the Startup India, get the DPIIT recognition, file the application, submit the necessary documents. Now you have to choose the tax exemption option, right? And that is something which is discretionary. I mean, the government decides whether tax exemption can be given or not. Then you need to self-certify and get the recognition number. So benefits are कि once your startup is recognized, there are multiple benefits from different sectors, different players in the ecosystem, those who are helping and growing the startup ecosystem. Now I'll come directly to the legal point. I don't want to discuss anything regarding the finance and other aspects of the startups. Rather, I'll focus more on the legal aspects. See, first of all, there needs to be incorporation. So in कई बार हम गलती incorporation में कर देते हैं. Any student, any entrance करना है, अगर incorporation भी करने जा रहा है तो which is the right and suitable entity for liability partnership. So there are multiple factors which needs to be considered while deciding the entity structure. ऐसा नहीं होता कि अगर मैंने private limited मेरे किसी friend ने करी तो that same concept of the same structure is equally applicable in my business also. Then there are IPRs, intellectual property rights. So it can be trademark, designs, patents, copyright, right? And there is a need to get the IPR registration, because IPR is something which somewhere creates the value for your business, that helps in the valuation of your startup. Then get the startup registration done, the startup exemption certificate. Then there are fundraising. Obviously, once you are going for a business expansion or growing your startup, you need a fund, right? So fundraising is there. So for fundraising, you need business plan. But again, business plan needs to be in compliance with the laws. Then there may be pitch deck that again needs to be in compliance with the law. Negotiation is there. Then funding is there. So funding can be from it can be a seed fund, it can be an angel investor coming in and putting some money there. Incubators are there, incubators putting money in the startups. Venture capitalists, Startup India has different schemes and policies where you're getting government funding as well. State startup centers are there. Then accelerators are there. Once your business is growing and it has been recognized as one of the leading business entity which can create a remarkable impact in the society. So accelerators are there to help you, to put in more funds in a large quantity, in a large sum, which somewhere helps you in a acquisition of bigger market share, acquisition of more clients, acquisition of different geographical areas. Then public offerings are there. So, and there are multiple instruments type which you can use for raising funds. Whether you can raise funds in terms of equity, preferential shares, debentures, loan, convertible notes. So all these are different different structures where you can raise funds for your business. Then there are certain compliances which needs to be taken care of, right? If GST is there, professional tax, licenses, like there are multiple sectors where you can't run your business without taking the approval or license from the government. I give the example of pharma industry. So pharma industry is one of the industry, where licenses and the permits are required. So without licenses and permits, nobody can run the business. Then there are provident funds and ESI schemes, and all these are government schemes. Compliances are there. Agreement is something very important, because when you are entering into the business and developing relations with different stakeholders, maybe their vendors, suppliers, your clients, customers, even your employees, your consultants. So agreements are must, and agreements need to be carefully drafted, that defines your relationship with your stakeholder. I'll discuss the agreement part in the next slide. Then winding up of there, that need I don't need to discuss that thing, because once your startup is not working properly, the business needs to be closed in compliance with the law, and all the liabilities needs to be completed. Okay. Now the central government and the state governments are introducing multiple policies, um, different schemes and incentives, which are somewhere helping all these startups and entrepreneurs in developing their businesses. Or government different industry wise भी ये schemes और policies लेके आ रही है. They are coming for the renewable energy sector. They are coming for the um, electric vehicles, right? So अलग-अलग industry wise government is introducing the incentive policies and schemes, and I believe all the entrepreneurs should be aware of the same and should take advantage of the same, because government is also looking forward to um, become your partner and helping your business grow, because somewhere that is helping in the economy. Now I'll come to the main part of the today's session. What are the laws and what laws all the entrepreneurs need to keep in mind while starting their business or while entering into the startup zone. So first one comes the Companies Act and the Limited Liability Partnership Act. As I discussed earlier, when you are starting your business, you need to choose your business structure very carefully. It is not something you can see something. One of my friend is running a LLP, or one of my friend is having a private limited company, and I should go for the same. No, rather you should understand your requirement. You should understand different factors which will affect somewhere your business and your relationship with your co-founders, and accordingly you should select the business structure. Now let's come to intellectual property. So I believe इंडिया में स्टार्टअप फेलियर रेट बहुत ज्यादा है compared to European and American startups and Western startups. Reason being, कहीं ना कहीं हम ही कॉपी करते हैं काफी ज्यादा. Second thing, even if we invent something, even if we discover something, invent something, we are not getting the licenses and registrations done for that thing. अभी भी इंडिया में if we see the recent survey by the government, इंडिया में अभी भी people are not aware of what is intellectual property and what is the importance of intellectual property in the valuation of a company. It's an intangible for a company compared to your tangible assets. If we talk about the trademark is something which is representing your business. That's a mark you're using to represent your business, right? That needs to be protected first. The copyright is there. I mean, if we can see and find, if we do some research on internet, we'll find that in India, majority of the contents on the website is being copied from another website, or it's being copied from the websites somewhere, in different countries. But we are not focusing on getting more content, a unique content for the. So I'm not talking about only website content. It can be anything. It can be your drawings. It can be your technical drawings or anything. So that needs to be registered. So that needs to be secured, because somewhere that will help in protection of your idea and protection of your product, or will also help in the valuation. Then patents are there. Obviously, if you are innovating, or if you are inventing something, getting patent will help you in your business. Then designs are there. Designs is something which is visible from your naked eyes. I mean, any unique design you are creating, so that needs to be. I'll give an example. Let's take an example of a cold drink bottle, right? If I see a thumbs up bottle and if I see a Pepsi bottle, if that both the bottles are empty, मैं देख के बता सकता हूँ कि this bottle is Coke and this bottle is Pepsi and this bottle is Mirinda, because that is a design. Now people recognize your product through its design. Even if you remove the name, they will recognize that this is the brand. So that is the importance of intellectual property. Now let's come to a taxation part. So that is very important for any business, whether it's a startup or a regular conservative business. So income tax and GST, that needs to be understood in a comprehensive manner, because whatever business activities we are doing, somewhere directly or indirectly, is government is charging taxes, right? So we need to be, and especially a newcomer or a new entrepreneur needs to under the taxation part in a very, very, very detailed manner, so that somewhere it will help them in saving their hard-earned money. I'm not discussing any of the act or any of the law in detail due to limitation of time. Then comes the labor and industrial laws. Obviously, if you are running a company, and let's say you're in the manufacturing sector, obviously labor, industrial, different laws will be applicable to your business. So that needs to be in compliance with the laws. And the good part is if you are a startup registered, if you have the Startup India recognition, there are exemptions from labor and industrial compliances. Now I'll discuss the contract part. So I believe contract is something very important which needs to be taken care of from the very first day you start the business. If an entrepreneur, if a founder is discussing the business idea with a co-founder, from there the importance of contract starts. There needs to be a non-disclosure agreement with the co-founder, because nobody knows whether that co-founder will really come into the business with you or not. But that person is going to have the entire idea of what you're going to do. So there needs to be protection of your idea. There needs to be the protection of the confidentiality of your business idea. So not only from co-founder, your shareholders, your investors, your vendors, suppliers, customers, everyone, there needs to be a proper legal agreement with all your stakeholders, which defines your relationship, your business relationship with them, that defines your rights, that defines your obligations, that defines your duties towards them and their duties towards you, right? So everything must be in black and white, because we don't understand the importance of black and white unless we get into trouble or litigation. So it's better to take precautionary methods, get everything in writing, get it executed, duly executed, and get protected from the future litigations. Now comes the environment. There are certain startups which are somewhere directly or indirectly affecting the environment. So as of now, Environment Act has become a very important in India. National Green Tribunal NGT is taking considerable actions in protection of the environment. So whenever a startup is doing something, any sort of manufacturing activity or any activities which somewhere affecting the land, air, water, so compliance in the Environment Act is mandatory. Insurance is very essential, very important. You never know. हम अपनी लाइफ का बीमा कराते हैं, अपनी लाइफ का इंश्योरेंस कराते हैं, तो there needs to be insurance for the business also. There needs to be a insurance for all your employees also. There needs to be insurance for all the liabilities also which may occur in future. Now let's come to international business. In the first part, on my right, this is international business, and the last, if you can see that it's, import and export matters are mentioned. So I'll be covering both together. So international business and import and exports. Anyone doing any sort of business where they are importing or exporting products or services, then laws which are governing all the imports and exports need to be there needs to be a compliance for the same. I'll share, for example, let's say someone is starting business, someone is exporting from home, they're starting their own small business, and they're exporting some services or products to the any foreign country, and they are receiving funds in foreign currency, in Australian dollars or US dollars. So there are RBI compliances. Then FEMA comes into picture. Then there are other rules, regulations that need the compliance with the same is required. Okay, then comes the insolvency and bankruptcy code. Again, any startup which is doing business, which have started business doing business, they need to be aware of this insolvency and bankruptcy code. There are certain obligations, there are certain rights which insolvency and bankruptcy code is giving to these startups. So they need to be aware of how they are covered under the insolvency and bankruptcy code. Now comes the consumer protection. Now consumer protection is something, if you are selling any product or giving any services, this needs to be something the consumer needs to be satisfied with that, whatever you have given. Otherwise, there are possibilities that due to some deficiency on your part, the consumer may move to consumer forum and may file a case against you. So an entrepreneur always keep in mind that whenever they are providing any services or whenever they are giving, supplying any products or manufacturing products and supplying in the market, there should not be any deficiency in the said product or services. Now, Sales of Goods Act, if you're selling anything, any goods or something, that needs to be in compliance with the provisions of the Sales of Goods Act. Information Technology Act. Now, this is something now which is applicable to all businesses, irrespective of industry and sectors. Everybody is using internet. Everybody is using, computers. So, Information Technology Act is applicable for everyone. So there are multiple provisions in Information Technology Act which need to be taken care of. Then comes the Legal Metrology Act. Legal Metrology is something कि आप कुछ चीज सेल कर रहे हो, अगर मैं लैंग्वेज में समझाऊं तो लीगल मेट्रोलॉजी इज समथिंग कि लेट्स से कि आई एम मैन्युफैक्चरिंग सोप एंड आई एम सेलिंग इट इन द मार्केट. अभी मेरा सोप जो होगा वो सोप कितने ग्राम का होना चाहिए, उसकी पैकेजिंग कैसे होनी चाहिए, उस पैकेजिंग के ऊपर क्या क्या प्रिंटेड होना चाहिए जो मैंडेटरी है, वो सब मुझे ध्यान में रखना बहुत जरूरी है. ये चीजें हमें बहुत छोटी लगती है, लेकिन all these things create a bigger legal issues. Legal metrology inspector can inspect in any state in India. They can inspect your product. They can get your product from the market. They will inspect it. There are certain cases where we have seen this thing कि minor issues की वजह से भी वो केस उनके अगेंस्ट बन जाता है. So whenever you are selling your product, उसका वेट क्या है, उसके ऊपर पर्टिकुलर्स जो उसकी पैकेजिंग है, पर्टिकुलर्स पे उसमें क्या क्या पर्टिकुलर्स होने चाहिए, वो सब बहुत ध्यान से मेंशन करना जरूरी है। Now comes the micro, small, medium enterprise development. This is something a great initiative with Startup India by the government, where they are promoting the micro, small, and medium enterprises. So micro, small, and medium enterprises, when not only they are giving the incentives, uh, but also giving the different protectionary methods also. Like अगर आपका कोई रिकवरी का इशू है, so instead of going to the court, you can directly move to the MSME Facilitation Council. So there are multiple factors, multiple initiatives by the government, which is somewhere helping the small businesses. Now, Arbitration and Conciliation Act is something which every entrepreneur should know in general, because once you get into the business, you will enter into the agreements with the stakeholders. जरूरी नहीं हमेशा एग्रीमेंट आप ही बना के दो, सामने वाली पार्टी दे रही है, देयर आर आर्बिट्रेशन क्लॉज, सो यू नीड टू अंडरस्टैंड व्हाट इज आर्बिट्रेशन क्लॉज. अगर कल से कोई डिस्प्यूट होता भी है आपका उनके साथ, तो वो आर्बिट्रेशन के थ्रू सॉल्व होगा, ये रिजॉल्व होगा, एडजुडिकेटेड होगा मैटर. तो वो एडजुडिकेशन होता कैसे है, वो कहाँ पॉसिबल है? क्या इंडिया का आर्बिट्रेशन एक्ट एप्लीकेबल है? क्या फर्स्ट पार्ट एप्लीकेबल है, सेकंड पार्ट एप्लीकेबल है, बोथ द पार्ट्स एप्लीकेबल है? किस तरह से आर्बिट्रेशन होगा? अगर आप इंटरनेशनल बिजनेस करते हैं तो क्या उसमें इंटरनेशनल कमर्शियल आर्बिट्रेशन का क्लॉज है? और अगर है तो वो कहाँ पे होने वाला है? किस तरह से आपका मैटर रिजॉल्व होगा? तो वो सब पता होना जरूरी है. देन कम्स द फॉरेन इन्वेस्टमेंट लॉस. Now many startups in India are raising fund not only from India, but they are raising investments from the foreign countries. So when they are raising funds from the foreign countries, फॉरेन इन्वेस्टमेंट लॉस के बारे में पता होना जरूरी है, क्योंकि क्या क्या कंप्लायंस करना जरूरी है, वो वो बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है. कि अगर बिना कंप्लायंस की इफ यू आर रेजिंग फंड फ्रॉम द फॉरेन कंट्रीज, यू विल बी इन ट्रबल, और एनी एंटरप्रेन्योर विल बी इन ट्रबल. सो उसका ध्यान में रखना बहुत जरूरी है. So there are many other laws which are applicable, depends on the nature of the startup, depends on the business of the startup, right? But these are some general laws which I discussed in very brief. Now, startup due diligence. What is startup due diligence? It's a 360-degree, valuation or validation or evaluation of a startup, to see whether that startup is being run or the business is being run in compliance with the laws or not. अगर मैं लेमन लैंग्वेज में समझाऊं, तो जैसे हम हॉस्पिटल जाते हैं चेक करवाने के लिए कि बाहर से हम बहुत फिट दिख रहे हैं, अच्छे दिख रहे हैं, बट हॉस्पिटल जाके हम बोलते हैं फुल बॉडी चेकअप कर दो हमारा. फुल बॉडी चेकअप करने के बाद देन वी कम टू नो कि ओके, दीज आर सम इंटरनल इश्यूज जो हमें बाहर से पता ही नहीं चल रहे थे. सेम वे ड्यू डिलिजेंस हेल्प्स इन अंडरस्टैंडिंग कि वो स्टार्टअप कहाँ लैग कर रहा है, कहाँ ऐसे इश्यूज हैं जो आज नॉर्मल दिख रहे हैं बट फ्यूचर में जाके कुछ लीगल कॉम्प्लिकेशंस क्रिएट कर सकते हैं. Right? Now I'll talk about the responsibility and legal ethics of any startup. So they have responsibilities towards investors, towards government, and social responsibility. So towards government, if I talk about, there needs to be a regular compliance. Employment generation. सबसे अच्छी बात यह है कि इंडिया में स्टार्टअप का प्रमोशन जिस तरह से हो रहा है, उसके बाद से एम्प्लॉयमेंट रेट काफी बढ़ गई है इंडिया में. All these startups are generating more and more employments in India and helping the economy and submitting true and fair returns, because somewhere economy is being run by the taxpayers' money. Now towards investors, किसी भी स्टार्टअप में इन्वेस्टर्स लाना इजी है, बट इन्वेस्टर्स के साथ एक एक ऐसा रिलेशन बना के रखना है कि उनका भी बेनिफिट होना, वो बहुत डिफिकल्ट होता है. सो देन जो स्टार्टअप की रेस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी, सबसे पहली रेस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी है रिटर्न ऑन इन्वेस्टमेंट. सो वॉट एवर दे आर मनी इन्वेस्टिंग इन योर बिजनेस, ये एक स्टार्टअप, ये एक एंटरप्रेन्योर की रेस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी होती है कि वो रिटर्न प्रोवाइड करे. एंड यूटिलाइजेशन ऑफ मनी फॉर द बिजनेस पर्पस ओनली. इंडिया में स्टार्टअप फेलियर का सबसे बड़ा रीजन यहाँ पे आइडिया का प्रॉब्लम नहीं है, यहाँ पे बिजनेस का प्रॉब्लम नहीं है. आई बिलीव इंडिया इज द बिगेस्ट मार्केट इन द वर्ल्ड. 150 करोड़ की पॉपुलेशन है. वी हैव ए ह्यूज मार्केट. यहाँ पे इतना मार्केट है कि एक ही इंडस्ट्री में अगर 10 कॉम्पिटिटर भी आ जाए तो भी मार्केट छोटा, तो भी मार्केट इतना बड़ा है कि वो पूरा कवर नहीं कर सकते. बट द प्रॉब्लम इज इन्वेस्टर्स काफी बड़े अमाउंट में पैसा इन्वेस्ट करते हैं, बट वो पैसा एंटरप्रेन्योर्स भूल जाते हैं कि उनको अपने बिजनेस के लिए यूज करना, रादर दे स्टार्टेड यूजिंग द फॉर अदर पर्पसेस एज वेल एंड डेवलपिंग द प्रोडक्ट्स. ऑब्वियसली जब अगर इन्वेस्टर पैसा डाल रहा है तो वो प्रोडक्ट डेवलपमेंट के लिए या सर्विस डेवलपमेंट के लिए डाल रहा है. तो जितना अच्छा प्रोडक्ट आप डेवलप करोगे, आपका आपका बिजनेस उस तरह से बढ़ेगा. देन देयर आर सर्टेन सोशल रिस्पांसिबिलिटी, एम्प्लॉयमेंट अपॉर्चुनिटीज प्रोवाइड करना और सम सोशल वर्क करना. These are some certain figures. I believe these are subjective figures which may vary. So India में almost we have 61,400 से ज़्यादा startups. अगर recent deals देखी जाए तो अभी 1,633 deals closed हुई हैं. 2022 में startups 14,000 से ज़्यादा register हुए हैं. $38.3 billion की I believe this is US billion dollars की fundraising हुई है. And India is the third largest startup ecosystem. So we have huge opportunities. We have great opportunities. I mean, next decade or next coming 2 decades will be a great boon for India. I believe we should take advantage of that thing. All the entrepreneurs, all the new startups coming in the industry, they should work. I mean, this is the huge market, and government is supporting. The best part is government is supporting your business. So these are some big startups in India. I believe everyone is aware of the same. Swiggy, Meesho, Grow, Nykaa, Dream11, Big Basket, Ola, Grofers, Byju's, Car24. So all this started very small, but after running the business in full compliance with the law, getting good team, working, having a good responsibilities towards the government and the investors, winning the confidence of the investors, that help them in developing their product and getting more business. Now, why startup needs lawyers? Again, all these things I discussed in detail. मैं एक दो छोटे example दूंगा कि like if you are a surgeon but you can't do your own surgery, or if you are a barber, you can't cut your own hair. You need someone to help you in getting your startup in line with the law. Thank you. So my name is Advocate Aman Shrotriya, and I'm the managing partner for Shrotriya Associates LLP. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Aman sir. Now, I would request participants that if you have any questions regarding startup, regarding legal compliances that need to be fulfilled while starting your own business, you can ask directly. You can unmute yourself and ask, or you can write it in the chat box, and I will narrate the question. $1099 contracts. What is that? Pragati Mistri.
Sir.
Yes.
Hello.
Yes, you are audible. You can ask.
सर, स्टार्टअप में कौन से टाइप का बिजनेसेस आ सकते हैं? कुछ नया इन्वेंशन या तो कुछ नई चीज ही लानी होती है, कि कुछ रूटीन जो बिजनेस या तो मैन्युफैक्चरिंग यूनिट्स होते हैं वो स्टार्टअप में आते हैं?
सर, there's a very fine line difference. कुछ ज़्यादा डिफरेंस नहीं है. गवर्नमेंट ये नहीं बोलती कि आप नया बिजनेस लेके आओ या कुछ नया इन्वेंशन करो तो ही आप स्टार्टअप कहलाओगे. इवन आपके काम करने का तरीका भी अलग है. इवन योर प्रोसेस इज डिफरेंट फॉर मैन्युफैक्चरिंग एन एग्जिस्टिंग प्रोडक्ट, then also you can get an startup India recognition.
Okay. तो कुछ ऐसा क्राइटेरिया ऐसा नहीं है उसमें कि ऐसा ही होना चाहिए या तो
सर ये बहुत सब्जेक्टिव है, ये बहुत सब्जेक्टिव है कि यू नीड टू कन्विंस कि अगर आपका बिजनेस है, फॉर एग्जांपल आप एग्जिस्टिंग प्रोडक्ट ही बना रहे हो, लेट्स से यू आर मैन्युफैक्चरिंग मोबाइल, राइट, बट
हाँ
आपके मोबाइल मैन्युफैक्चरिंग में सेम फीचर्स हैं जो बाकी सैमसंग आईफोन बाकी लोग बना रहे हैं, वैसे ही फीचर्स हैं, बट इवन इफ योर प्रोसेस इज डिफरेंट, दिस इज समथिंग, अगर आपने कुछ नया इंट्रोड्यूस किया है तो दैट इज समथिंग जिससे उसको आपको बेनिफिट बताना पड़ेगा कि इससे क्या बेनिफिट है, इस नया प्रोसेस करने से क्या तरीका होता है।
समथिंग कुछ ऐसा अलग दिखाना होगा कोई भी एक पार्ट में तो ही वो स्टार्टअप में मिलता है।
सब दिखाना नहीं होता, सी ये मैं वही बात बता रहा हूँ कि एक कंजर्वेटिव बिजनेस और एक स्टार्टअप में एक बहुत फाइन लाइन डिफरेंस है। ऐसा नहीं है कि अ, ऐसा नहीं है कि ये लोग कुछ नया कर रहे हैं, हमेशा नया प्रोडक्ट ही आता है। अभी फॉर एग्जांपल मैं ऐसे स्टार्टअप्स का नाम लूं, लेट्स से कि जो ऑनलाइन क्लोथ सेल कर रहे हैं या लाइफ स्टाइल प्रोडक्ट सेल कर रहे हैं, राइट, बट they are using a platform which is different from others platform. अगर मैं सिंपल लैंग्वेज में बोलूं तो कपड़े ही सेल कर रहे हैं, राइट, कुछ नया प्रोडक्ट सेल नहीं कर रहे हैं, और वो भी खुद मैन्युफैक्चर नहीं कर रहे हैं, दे आर सिंपली ट्रेडर्स। मैन्युफैक्चरर कोई और है, बायर कोई और है, दे आर सिंपली यूजिंग देयर प्लेटफॉर्म, they are the aggregators, राइट। तो अगर आप एग्जिस्टिंग बिजनेस में भी काम कर रहे हो तो एग्जिस्टिंग बिजनेस में काम करने में भी अगर आपका प्रोडक्ट में इनोवेशन है, आपके प्रोसेस में इनोवेशन है, आपका कुछ मेथड्स में इनोवेशन है, नई मेथोडोलॉजी आप लेके आ रहे हो, सो यू कैन बी कवर्ड अंडर दिस स्टार्टअप। बट आई बिलीव अभी भी इंडिया में वो डिफरेंस समझ में नहीं आ रहा है कई जगह पे। if we see the definition which America has adopted, हमारे यहाँ अभी भी हम कंजर्वेटिव बिजनेस को भी स्टार्टअप बोलते हैं।
थैंक यू
हेलो
सर
Yes.
हाय
मैं
हाय सर।
सुरेंद्रनगर गुजरात से किशन लांबरिया बोल रहा हूँ। मेरे पास एक स्टार्टअप का आइडिया भी रेडी है, डिजाइन भी रेडी है, पर मुझे अब ये समझ में नहीं आ रहा है कि मैं अब मेरी डिजाइन किसको दिखाऊं और हेल्प किससे मांगू।
ओके, आप कहाँ से बोल रहे हैं?
सुरेंद्रनगर गुजरात से।
ओके, सर आपका गुड नेम?
लांबरिया किशन गेला भाई।
ओके, किशन भाई, अगर आपके पास है तो बहुत सारे यहाँ पे इंडिया में, लाइक इन गुजरात में राजकोट में ही यहाँ इंक्यूबेटर्स हैं, आप उनके पास आ सकते हैं। आप चाहो तो हमारे ऑफिस आ सकते हैं, डिस्कस कर सकते हैं। अभी जो सौराष्ट्र यूनिवर्सिटी का इंक्यूबेशन सेल है, आप उनके पास जा सकते हैं, डिस्कस कर सकते हैं आपका बिजनेस आइडिया जो भी है।
ओके सर।
आप ऑनलाइन सर्च करेंगे तो आपको बहुत सारे इंक्यूबेटर्स और एक्सेलरेटर्स मिलेंगे, आप उनके पास जाके आपका बिजनेस आइडिया डिस्कस कर सकते हैं।
हाँ, वो jusec.education.in पे मैंने अपना स्टार्टअप आइडिया और जो पैम्पलेट जो डिजाइन सब सेंड किया है, लेकिन अभी तक कोई रिप्लाई आया नहीं है।
सर मैं आपको सजेस्ट करूंगा कि आप पर्सनली अप्रोच करिए इंक्यूबेटर्स को,
ओके
आपको
सर।
डेफिनेटली।
ओके सर।
हाय सर, माय नेम इज प्रगति एंड आई एम अ रिक्रूटर, इंडिपेंडेंट रिक्रूटर, और मुझे यूएसए के बारे में जानना है कि यूएसए में एज एन इंडिपेंडेंट कॉन्ट्रैक्टर मैं कॉन्ट्रैक्ट ले सकती हूँ क्या? उसमें रिस्क है कि इज इट पॉसिबल फॉर मी टू वर्क एज एन इंडिपेंडेंट रिक्रूटर देयर?
you're you're working as a technical recruiter or non-technical?
Technical recruiter. Mostly I work with developers and analysts and all those. Technical recruiter.
So you're doing technical recruitment for the companies based in America or Indian companies, those who are sending their developers for the projects in America?
Companies which are based in USA, and they are also looking for remote developers which can be anywhere in world. So
Okay.
this is how that
आपको
industry.
Understood. So you can enter into the agreement with them as an independent contractor. So what is the risk you are facing?
So, like, I don't know about their norms, like in 1099 contractor, 1099 contract, is
No,
it,
no. 1099 is something you are working as an independent instead of working for an employer.
yeah, so in net I searched, it is mentioned that anyone can work, but I just want to know, as an Indian citizen, can we come to any contract? And because I'm scared whether there will be any payment issue from their end, or I'm really scared about that.
See, all these clauses you need to cover in your agreement. What will be the payment terms? What will be the responsibilities and liabilities? Obviously, you can enter into agreement with any of the American companies.
Okay. Thank you.
Good morning, sir. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Sumedha. I'm from Ganpat University Incubation Center. So the question that I have is, we have students who are starting their startups and getting into the phase there wherein they can register their company. So
Okay.
I wanted to know, once they are registered as a LLP or as a private limited or as a partnership firm, what next? Like, what are the compliances that they have to furnish beyond that?
Again, see, that depends on the nature of the business and in the industry. See, there are once that is done, we have to see whether they are going for the tax compliances or not. Second thing, in which industry they are operating their business. If they are in certain industry which is being regulated by the government, then all the licensing and taking approvals from the government is mandatory.
Okay.
So that is required. Again, what is the team size is there
Mhm.
that we have to see.
So, sir, we got to know that they have to have their first board meeting. Like, if they have registered as a private limited firm, they have to have a board meeting minutes that have to be submitted. In all these compliances, who can help, particularly for a startup here, wherein they don't charge as hefty, as the startup is not able to, bear that much money right away. So, what are the alternatives for that? I wonder.
What is the location now?
So, we are based in Mehsana.
Mehsana. Okay. So this is something I can't promote anyone on this platform, but ma'am, you can see my contact details and we can definitely discuss the thing in person.
Sure, if that is how we could move ahead, I'll definitely note down and forward it to all our startups who are in this.
Yeah, please, because I can promote anyone on this platform.
Thank you so much.
Anyone else have any questions? There is one question from Sumida. I want to ask, what are the complaints? Okay. Is discussed. Anyone else? Students, if you have any questions, or participants, if you have any questions, you can unmute yourself and ask, or write it down in the chat box, or we'll proceed for the closing of this session. Anyone have any questions? Okay. I would like to request Dr. Rajesh Dave sir to give vote of thanks, and thanks to Mr. Aman Shrotriya sir for this very beautiful session and discussion on legal aspects of the startup. Rajesh Dave sir. No worries. Thank you, Aman sir, for being here. There were the participants all over from the region of Saurashtra as well as Ahmedabad, Baroda. We have promoted this event to each and every nook and corner of Gujarat, right? And very thankful to all the participants who were very attentive, and more than we were expect. There was a registration of 270 plus participants for this event, and a very huge response for this event to make it successful. A very heartful thank to Aman sir. We have not met since long, but I know that we both are here in Rajkot, so sometimes we'll meet for future collaborations, that how we can support the startups and how we can run this ecosystem in localites, basically in Rajkot and Saurashtra region, right? Thank you very much, Aman sir. Now I will be ending the session. Thank you, sir.